Yeah, this is me, but actually a younger version of me, like around 4 years ago. I was studying architecture, and yeah, I was that small 4 years ago. I was studying architecture, and yeah, didn't think about the future too much, enjoying life, traveling around a lot, and I really loved being in the mountains, hiking and stuff, and also loved being at the sea, and still love it. And I really do love diving. There's just a little problem, because I do have a diving license, and I really enjoy being underwater, but I'm afraid of fishes. It's a truth, and actually I did this diving license and did the lessons to get rid of the fear. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes not. And 4 years ago, in the last year of my studies, I went diving with a friend, and it was a beautiful dive. All these little fellows, I watched them, they were quite far away, so everything was good. It was a comfortable dive, and suddenly something was touching my feet. And I was like completely shocked and thought, oh my God, that's a huge, big shark trying to eat me. But of course, it was not a shark, it was actually just a plastic bag. And I was confused because I thought, why is there plastic inside the water? And yeah, didn't know what to do, and I watched around, and actually there were more plastic around me than fishes. Little pieces, little bottles, stuff like that. It was, yeah, a little bit frightened. So I went back home and couldn't stop think about this topic. And I always had this plastic bag in my mind, and even it was not dangerous for me, because it was not a shark, it's dangerous for all these little fellows. And I did a lot of research and tried to get more information, because a couple of years ago it was not that much in the news as it is today. So I got a lot of information while doing research, and it's a huge problem. And every year, 6.5 million tons of plastic are getting into our oceans, by rivers and stuff like that. And if you count that, it's like 730 tons an hour, which are just, like in the picture, getting into the water, which is quite, yeah, shocking and frightening. The worst thing is that all the fishes, all these little nice fellows, are eating the plastic. And it's getting into their muscles, changing their DNA. And finally, even we are eating the plastic, because we, the humans, are at the end of the food chain. And when we eat eat fishes, we also eat plastic, which is kind of not that cool, and yeah, we don't like it. So the main question I asked myself, why is there no solution? I mean, we are like intelligent people, and there should be a reason or solution for that. And the answer for this question is quite simple, because it's really, really difficult. There is not just the huge plastic bags floating in the water, but also little pieces. Because all these bags and plastic bottles are breaking down to little pieces. And you cannot just take a net and collect them, because if you do that, you collect all the fishes, all the plankton, all the sea creatures. And that doesn't make any sense, actually. So I tried to think about, what can we do? How can we get it out of the water? And I'm not the first person thinking about how to clean water. So yeah, normally you get sewage plants, and they are working, the main part of a sewage plant is a huge basin. It's called sedimentation basin. The water is getting inside, getting calmed down, and the sediment is going to the ground. And the clean water is just going further. And if you take this principle and you just turn it upside down, because in the oceans, there's these little particles are accumulating in such called ocean gyres. It's because of the currents around the world. And this plastic is not floating on the surface, but in the first 40 meters. And if you could find a solution to calm down the oceans in special points, then the plastic, which has a lower density than water, can go up to the surface. And as I'm an architect, I tried something with architecture. So I built a platform, which is like 400 meters wide, quite big, which is floating and positioned and anchoring inside these ocean gyres. and there is a canal system underneath the surface. So it's going down to 40 meters, where the covering of the plastic particles is the highest, and the water is going inside this canal system, and because of the form, the water is getting calmed down. And all these little plastic particles can go up with their own density, because there are no currents, no winds, no stuff which turns the water around. It can just go with a natural draft up to the surface. And this is it. This is actually, this huge platform, looking a little bit like a spaceship, not going to Mars, actually. The water is going inside, and because of this form, it's getting calmed down. And in the end of the platform, all the plastic is coming to the surface, so we can just skim it from the surface and don't need any nets, filter system, complicated stuff like that. And all the little fellows, the fishes, sea creatures, they can just pass through. So there's no net, nothing to stop them. And the next great question was what to do with the ocean plastic. Because actually it's not waste. Waste is, you can just burn it, but the ocean plastic is actually a huge resource, and I think we should use it. So my idea, still I'm an architect, no chemicalist or biologist, but my idea was to gasify it. Because when you gasify it, you get a synthetic gas out of it, which is made of hydrogen and CO2. The hydrogen you can put into burning cells, so you get energy to get the platform run. And the CO2 you can put into algae cultures, and there's one special species. I'm not a biologist, but I did kind of a lot of research. And there's one species, when you put sulfur out of it while growing, it's producing hydrogen, not oxygen like normally. So you get even more energy to get the platform run. And if you take the biomass of the algae, you can make new algae plastics out of it. So finally, you get like more or less a circle. You put the old plastic out of the water, get energy, and new plastic which is biodegradable and doesn't harm the ocean anymore. So this was it. This was actually my master thesis in architecture. Nothing to do that much with architecture in the end, just how it looks like. And I called it Pacific Garbage Screening. Pacific because of the North Pacific Garbage Patch, because that's the biggest of the ocean gyres. And normally with the master thesis, you get your degree, happy, life can start. The normal way is you take it, put it in a box, forget about it. That's the normal way. But somehow that didn't happen. There were a lot of people talking to me saying, hey, cool idea, that's great. Do you think about if it's feasible? Did you ever do a calculation or whatever? I was like, yeah, I'm an architect. I cannot count that or do a calculation or stuff. So I started to talk to people. And I started to ask questions. Who can help me? How can we prove it? We need a calculation. Who can help me? And finally, let's do something. Because probably the idea is not that bad. So I really found some people, engineers in university, and the main question was, does a concept work? And they did a calculation, not me. And the first results were like, yes, could work. And I was quite happy, like, cool, little architecture student had a great idea, and finally it's probably working. So we decided to go on with the idea, to go on with the proof, and I got a team, and our team is in these days really growing and growing and growing. And in the beginning of the year, we decided to found an NGO, and the NGO is called Pacific Garbage Screening, and we are kind of a young, motivated team. We are all volunteers working on this topic, and we want to do something, and we want to build it. And our intention is not to get money for that, because there is not a business plan behind this idea. First of all, it's like caring about our planet and to do something. Because actually I like this planet, and I don't want to move to another one where I have to put a goldfish ball on my head every time when I leave the door. And I would like even my kids sometimes probably to live on this planet and not on another. So what we want to do is to build a feasible technology. It doesn't make any sense to build this spaceship, probably in a couple of years, then I'm quite happy. But the first thing is to build a prototype. So we want to build little models which we can put into rivers or river mouth, so we can collect the plastic before it's entering the oceans, like being more effective and collecting it before it's harming the oceans. And that's what we are working on right now. We're trying to get research funds for that, and trying to get a model to put it into a canal and to test it. And our motivation is to stay on this planet and to keep this planet alive, because the chance to go to another planet is possible probably in a couple of years, but there are no rivers, no forests, nothing. All the things I love when I do traveling, they are not on Mars. So our intention is we want to save our oceans, and finally we want to save our very, very beautiful planet. Thank you.